The most important mindset you need for long-term success on YouTube is to just keep going. I earned enough to pay off $25,000 worth of student loan debt within about 6 months after starting our YouTube channel. So
you have a couple 4 million viewed shorts, 1.3 million. What have you been learning with YouTube Shorts? How often do you create those?
What can I do to the thumbnail or to the title that will make someone want to be interested in that video and click?
Welcome back to the Think Media podcast. I'm so excited because in this episode, we're going to be learning from someone who's getting almost 1 million views per month on her YouTube channel, really breaking down her content workflow. How is she producing content, gear, putting videos together, really coming up with her brand, the furniture flipping teacher, and all of the success she's built up just in the last few years so that you could apply that to your channel to get more views, get more subscribers, and ultimately reach more people. My guest today is a former kindergarten teacher turned furniture flipping enthusiast, Lauren Hull. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. I'm excited.
And so I can't wait to first start with your story here because your YouTube channel has started just in the last couple of years, right? How did it come about?
Yeah, so, 2020, everybody kind of started staying at home. I was a full-time teacher. We were told to stay at home for that time of COVID. And so I was, and we were teaching online, but I had a lot of downtime. So I started to redo my parents' kitchen, and I really loved the before and after. I redid their kitchen table, and I started actually turning to YouTube for tutorials on how to do these different things with furniture. And I saw these YouTubers flipping furniture to make money, and I was like, well, I want to do that because I wanted to pay off my student loan debt. And so long story short, I started flipping furniture, began to sell it, and then my boyfriend and now business partner is a videographer and photographer, and did weddings and things like that. And we kind of put our heads together, in a lack of a better term, and we ended up starting our YouTube channel in November of 2020, and just smooth sailing from there.
So to be clear, you actually YouTube's so powerful because you actually went for information on YouTube first.
Exactly.
And did you have previous furniture flipping experience?
I did not, no. The most stuff that I had done was just really taught by my dad. He always taught me, you can fix things up yourself. You don't always have to call somebody. Sometimes it might get that far, but just fixing things up on your own, the smaller projects. So I always like to do things with my hands. And then the before and after transformation was what really hooked me on the furniture. And then, of course, the profit that you can also make from the flipping itself.
So it shows you the world we're living in. One, when circumstances around us are going bad, pandemic, lockdown, different things happening. Not only can you learn new skills, which you did, you can also find new cool ways to make money, and in a practical way, furniture flipping, which fast forward to today too, it's one of the things you're inspiring and helping others with, and monetizing in all the YouTube ways. So you did that, and then you started to, being just even a few months in, you had a little bit of experience growing up, your dad, but you learned a skill in a relatively short amount of time, tapping into YouTube.
Yep.
And then you started to teach the skill, and we sometimes tell people, you only got to be 1 or 2 steps ahead, have a few results, and then you can grow into it even more. Am I getting your story right?
Correct. Yeah. And with my background as a teacher, I really again, put those two things together. And I was like, well, I'm really liking just the basic process. Now I've gotten into more of the unique, more intricate processes of flipping, or else, I might get burnt out with continuing to do the basics. But just taking those basic steps and then being able to apply that to each and every YouTube video, which is what we really did. And that was kind of our angle from the beginning. No one was really truly going into depth. There were 10 to 15 minute YouTube videos out there, but it wasn't truly step by step, I felt. And so I felt there was something missing there. And I was able to bring my teaching into our YouTube channel. So that's also why it's called Furniture Flipping Teacher, because I was still teaching at the time. So we just kind of married the two together. And even if I was ever going to stop teaching, we were still able to keep the name because that's still what we did on the channel.
Yeah, no, very interesting. And you were actually able to pay off $25,000 of student loan debt from flipping furniture?
Yep, I earned enough to pay off $25,000 worth of student loan debt within about 6 months after starting our YouTube channel. So,
gotcha. And so really clever too. That was one of my questions, was coming up with a clear brand, Furniture Flipping Teachers, because you're actually a teacher.
Right.
And since that, you have stopped teaching?
Correct.
And you were able to go full-time on YouTube from just those income streams.
Yep.
But yet it's still accurate because now you're the furniture flipping person I can learn from. And so I don't know if it's probably not a double entendre. Maybe it is.
It was. And then I feel like it kind of still is because I feel like I'm still a teacher at heart. And, you know, people come to our channel. Like it's one of the things, even though we didn't know what we were going to end up with our channel, like we didn't really ever have to be honest, we didn't ever know what was going to come from this. Like I was still full-time teaching. Someone had just said, since I was sharing on my Instagram, my process, my personal Instagram, someone was like, you should do a YouTube channel. And it all just kind of fell into place. And so again, we didn't know what was going to come from it, but we just kept working hard. It kept succeeding and it kept growing. And so we were like, maybe this is, you know, what we're supposed to do.
So that's November 2020. We're recording this in October of 2023. So it's really only been 2 years.
3 years. I think just about almost 3 years.
This next November will be 3 years on the channel. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So in 3 years, and now also fast forward to today, you have a 4,200 square foot storefront?
Yes. We just signed in September, and that's going to be opening on November 4th. We're going to be having a grand opening party. So it's got a 1,000-foot warehouse, and that I'm going to be doing the flips in, and then the 3,200 square feet is a combination of a showroom and office space and some storage.
So I got a lot of questions for you. Of course, we're going to get into YouTube tactics, but it's kind of cool to like almost see what's been possible because of this multi-season journey. But in a relatively short time, 3 years in, you're full-time doing this. You've got the income from the YouTube channel and those different monetization strategies. We could talk about those later. But was it always your vision to be kind of entrepreneurial, build a bigger business? Because now you're also adding on to that a warehouse that'll help you film, but also, are you going to hire employees to sell on the show floor and stuff? I mean, what's the vision for this business expansion?
Personally, I was not always an entrepreneurial spirit. That does come from Neiman, my business partner. But the more I took leaps and risks, kind of led by him, the more I feel like I have a heart for the entrepreneurial. And so, yes, right now we're a 3-person team. We have a full-time video editor that does our YouTube videos only, and then us two. And so Neiman does all the video, and then I do all of the furniture, and then Harrison is our editor. And so we haven't laid out everything yet because we're still pretty new at the whole storefront thing. Getting it all ready for grand opening is our first goal, but we definitely are planning to have some employees to help us run the store because we've still got to continue to make the content. And that's really what we enjoy, but just opening up the storefront, I think, is going to allow us to bring our community together. People are going to be able to have, we're going to host workshops there. We're going to host contests there and just so many other things down the line that we're really excited to kind of be like a hub there in Omaha.
So inspiring. Okay, so 37 million views on the channel, 375 videos, over 3 years to do that. How did you learn the skills of creating content when you started making those first videos? How did you grow the skills to get that many views?
Well, my first video is a little cringy, but we all got to start somewhere. And I think honestly, watching your content just push record is definitely something that's always been in the back of my mind. Just get with it, or just get on it and do it. And I was the most uncomfortable person on The camera, I look back and I'm like, wow. But since then I've, grown and practiced. And so can you say it?
Yeah. I mean, just how did you add the skills over your first up to 375 videos, thumbnails, titles? I mean, I think one of your videos has 1.7 million views. So yeah, a lot of people listening to this want to get those kind of results. I mean, what have you learned on the journey to, 37 million views? Your first video was bad, and then it started getting better.
Right.
How are you scaling up?
Consistency. We were doing 2 videos a week at the time that we had started. I was still full-time teaching, but we were grinding it out. We were like, this thing's kind of growing. Let's see what we can continue to do. And also being authentic through our content. We were completely transparent through all of the processes that I was going through, whether it be like a mess up on a piece of furniture or just, even on camera. And then just continuing to grow as a community. That really motivated us to also just continue to make that great content. And then thumbnails, that just kind of got into our groove of making thumbnails that I thought were pleasing to the eye. Nowadays, I feel like we've gotten more able to kind of be like, okay, like what would be interesting to the viewer, as opposed to just like what I think looks good, kind of putting those two together and making sure that it's going to actually be of interest to someone, because I can paint nightstands night and day and that's not going to be a video that everyone wants to watch. But what can I do to the thumbnail or to the title that will make someone want to like be interested in that video and click?
So mostly on the content, it's the 2 of you sitting down to brainstorm about upcoming ideas?
Yep, it's the 2 of us for sure. I pretty much stay behind the camera, and then Neiman or in front of the camera, and Neiman pretty much stays behind the camera. But we have had different projects that we've taken to where both of us are in front of the camera and do different projects. Like we did an Airbnb renovation. So since we've been able to grow the community, they've also been become really interested in our lives, even outside of just the flipping furniture. So we really enjoy bringing them along our lives journey as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but the community is legit with over 246,000 subscribers. Now, talking about workflow, obviously, listeners might be thinking, okay, from the start, though, you've essentially had a team because it was your boyfriend.
Yeah.
From day one?
Yep. And he was doing video and editing. So the projects take anywhere from 8 to 12 hours, and then he's videoing them, and then they take anywhere from 8 to 12 hours to also edit. And so about a year in, we were like, okay, something's got to give, because I'm still full-time teaching. And so whenever I'm not teaching, he's filming, and whenever I'm teaching, he's editing. So we're both doing basically 2 full-time jobs at that time. So that's when we kind of got into the thought, okay, we need an editor because this is growing too much, and we want to be able to keep up with our content because we were enjoying it, we were growing, and we just wanted to keep our channel on that level of projection.
How long were you dating before the YouTube channel started?
Let's see. We started dating in 2016, so about 4 years.
Okay, cool. So you had a long-standing relationship. Would you recommend people date or get married for YouTube?
No. For YouTube, no, I would not. But if you have a strong relationship, there's been some ups and downs, of course, as is with every relationship. But I feel like this also brings us closer together because we're literally working with each other day in and day out, 24/7. Sometimes we need a break from each other, and that's totally fine because, usually I feel like spouses or people who are dating have that time apart, and we really don't because we're doing everything together. So definitely feeling that flow and just working all that stuff out.
Hey, in just a second, we're going to get back into the episode. But if you haven't heard, for a limited time, you can get on-demand access to my YouTube strategy class entirely for free. at thinkmasterclass.com. On the class, you're going to learn the one strategy that we use at Think Media that is currently generating over 300,000 views every single day. If you are new to YouTube, this is going to help you start right and avoid mistakes. And if you're already a pro, this is going to help you multiply your growth. And the cool thing is the class is 100% free and you can watch it instantly on demand. All you got to do is go to thinkmasterclass.com or just click the link in the show notes to get instant access. All right, let's jump back into the episode.
It is very interesting on this whole creator economy, this YouTube culture. Man, so many people I talk to. I think I was just talking with Do It On a Dime, Catherine from Do It On a Dime. And she, as the YouTube business grows, it a lot of times gives the enough financial resource for the whole family to go all in on it, you know? And that presents maybe a new set of challenges. Like, does the other person have that passion? Do they have that skill set? Is there that alignment? And then it also is new challenges where all the blessing of maybe the growth is. I was just talking to my wife. We've been married 18 years. And she's like, with 2 kids at home, running our business together, she's like, man, I need a break from you. Like that was one of the things, you know?
Yep.
And so what have you learned or any just advice or experience or even mistakes for someone listening to this, for working with a partner, working with somebody else, considering, going all in kind of like you are as a couple, in building essentially a media company on YouTube?
I would say continue to work together day in and day out, but when you feel like you need that time apart, it's okay to take that time apart. I'm a person that I feel like maybe doesn't admit that I need that time apart, but Neiman is a person who will admit that he needs that time apart. And so we're able to kind of join in that and be like, okay, like, let's take a day, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to stay home and you're going to go, to a coffee shop and work. And even just that day apart will be fine. I'm definitely one that tries to still like say that we don't need that, but like I do know that we do need that. So I definitely say like take that time when it's apparent that it's necessary. If you're kind of biting at each other's necks for a few hours or something, like okay, like let's take a break. Let's come back tomorrow and see like let's figure it out here. But it doesn't happen too often, but when it happens, listen to it.
Have you encountered a business decision that you did not agree on, and did you find a way to resolve it?
I feel like every day we have business decisions that we don't agree on. I mean, I would make content every single day for YouTube, and then he is one who is like, okay, but like let's see if we can like continue to monetize in other ways. And so we've kind of started leaning into the online content or the online courses. And so he's like, let's work on the business so that we don't have to, or let's work on the business so that we don't have to continue working in the business 24/7 all the time. And I get it, but at the same time, I really love to flip furniture as well. So I'm like, but I just want to be in the garage doing my content. But we've been trying to really find a groove like weekly where we're like, okay, let's lay out this calendar. Let's figure out like when we're going to be working on the business versus when we're going to be working in the business, just so that we don't get burnt out.
Mm-hmm. That's super powerful. And of course, for listeners, someone might be, sounds nice. You have a boyfriend that is an all-time videographer, editor. But what is fascinating, and so if you're single and that's the situation, you can still succeed. You can still crush it on YouTube. You always got to play the hand you're dealt. But I think there's also something to lean into for our listeners. Man, I just meet so many couples, and sometimes it has nothing to do with content. For me, I was the shooter, editor, and the talent and all the different things, but I know my world would fall apart if it wasn't for my wife being finances, QuickBooks, managing all of that stuff. Like I just shut down on that stuff and my life would fall apart. I could bring the money in the front end and it would leak out the back end. And so, man, there's something powerful about being a power couple. And there's something powerful about potentially partnering up because YouTube's hard. So it's to do it solo. I mean, if you got to do it solo, you can. But this whole idea of partnering is something fascinating that may inspire an idea for one of our listeners. You mentioned monetization. If we were to put up a pie chart of how money comes in now, you're doing this full time. What are the different income streams?
We've got YouTube ad revenue. We've got our sponsorships for our YouTube videos and sometimes Instagram Reels. We've got our affiliate sales, and then we've got our online course.
And you launched an online course.
We did, yes. We've launched one online course, Furniture Flipping to Profits, and then we've just finished up our second course, which is going to be for spraying furniture for beginners, and that's going to be coming out within this month, October. So.
Where do you host and sell those courses?
On Kajabi, we do. Well, we have our own website, and then it kind of leads you to Kajabi.
Yeah. That's cool. And do you find that right now, as you're talking, that you have enough of a team with the three of you to manage everything, or do you feel the need for more marketing support in regards to the course or customer service? Is it all pretty lean? How do you think about those things?
I get overwhelmed, but I definitely think that we've dabbled with some people to help us out. We haven't quite landed on the perfect fit yet, but what we're kind of on the verge of getting next on our team is someone who can help us with just blogs, with marketing for our course, there's so many different things that we want one person to be able to do to help us just kind of fill in these different gaps.
If listeners to the podcast, I want to encourage you. I always think about this. People say, Sean, can anybody succeed on YouTube or go full-time on YouTube? And my answer to the question is yes. I actually believe anybody can. However, I think that it might be different than some people think, meaning, is everyone going to be peak charisma and be the in front of the camera talent? Not necessarily. But if you have a passion for YouTube, there's so many different skill sets that are needed in the creator economy. You guys are a perfect example. And so someone could be listening to this. They could reach out to you and be like, I'm that person. Actually, I've been studying, I've been learning. I love to write. I actually happen to know blogs and SEO. And I would love, and boom, all of a sudden you maybe have created a job where you could work from home, get out of maybe a corporate environment. And there's creators are building the next generation of media companies. And so that's what I mean when I say go full-time on YouTube. Of course, there's faceless channels. You might be the talent, but maybe you also partner up and work with. We're right now hiring all kinds of people at workwiththink.com. And there's a lot of growth in the space. And I think that everybody listening to this could find a way to plug in somehow. But of course, a lot of people are also wanting to grow their main channel. They are probably the talent. And I'm curious what you've learned. You have a lot of high-performing videos, but you're also posting YouTube Shorts. You have a couple 4 million viewed shorts, 1.3 million. What have you been learning with YouTube Shorts? How often do you create those?
Right now, we just basically repurpose our Instagram Reels for YouTube Shorts. We do have to sometimes shorten them a little bit because they can only be that 60 seconds. But what I've learned and what I've seen over time is honestly that YouTube Shorts, for us, for our situation, haven't typically taken off immediately. It's kind of been maybe a week or two, or even a month or two, or maybe even a few months, and then it's oh wait, this project, this short that we posted several months ago, now has this many hundreds of thousands of views, and we posted that so long ago. So I think it's okay, if it doesn't hit right away. But and then also what I've been noticing is that a lot of subscribers have been coming from YouTube Shorts as well.
Have you observed if those subscribers go from short form to long form? Everyone's asking, how do I get Shorts viewers to watch my long form videos?
I haven't really observed that too much, but
meaning you're not sure?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Are you active on multiple platforms? You mentioned Instagram Reels. So do you sometimes think about Instagram first and then you edit the videos to go to YouTube Shorts? What is your multi-platform approach?
Yes, I would say our main baby is YouTube for sure, because that's what we started on and that's just what we've earned money from, to be honest. And so then I would say that Instagram is our second. We do try to do reels occasionally throughout the week. I don't think that we necessarily have like a set content calendar for Instagram. But then whenever we post a reel, then we always repurpose it and put it on TikTok, and then we put it on YouTube Shorts. And then we also have a Facebook page as well that we repurpose our YouTube videos, shorten them down to the 3-minute to 5-minute that Facebook really likes. And then we also have the reels over there as well.
And do you find that worth doing? Is that the editor that you hired that's repurposing some of these videos down?
We're actually working with like a separate media company to do the Facebook part.
Like a Jelly Smack type of a company?
It's called Voove Media.
And is it because they take a split of the ad revenue?
Yes.
And do you get any very good ad revenue?
We get pretty decent. I mean, for not doing work on the page, we get pretty decent ad revenue
because
from it.
A company like that does everything for you at a split of the ad revenue. And the nice thing is you don't even have to think about it.
Correct. Yes. That is the very nice thing about it. I'm like, we posted a Facebook
It's like beats a
group.
poke in the eye. Like some money is better than no money.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's something that we just put on the back burner. Like, okay, the only thing that we have to do is like whenever we make a reel, we upload it to like a Google Drive and then they post it. But they are in charge of making all of the short, like the 3 to 5 minute videos from our long form content on YouTube.
Very, very interesting. You've been through such a whirlwind in the last 3 years. If a friend of yours sat down and said, hey, this is wild. I kind of want to follow in your footsteps. I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. I want to go all in this. I would love to. I've got my own separate, it's not furniture flipping, but I've got this passion. What opportunities do you see ahead for content creators right now?
I mean, I say go for it. Every single time that someone like figures out what we do, we have them tell us, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. And we always encourage people, like, do it. If you're consistent, if you're authentic, and if you like put the time into it that you say that you want to really create and go all in on it, like even if it doesn't hit within the first month, like we were lucky enough to have that success, I say go for it. And especially if it's something that you're passionate about, like your content that you're passionate about, like why not?
You know, it's interesting. I was just talking to a guy. He runs a brewery on 3rd Street in Marysville. He formerly worked at a church in the video department, and he's pretty charismatic personality. He's very outgoing. And he's been following me online, and I was like, man, I think anybody could lean into YouTube and learn new skills. But if he had a couple of things going for him, he had subject matter expertise because he's been brewing for a long time. He's been mentored. He's built a local spot. There's a lot of people that want to do home brewing. He actually has video editing expertise because he's used Adobe Premiere and he's got a background there. And he's social. I don't think he would think of himself maybe as charismatic in like being a teacher, but getting on camera, and I want to ask you about that in a second. I'm like, man, you start. Like, come on, like start a YouTube channel. And I think that, of course, you're busy. He's running a local business. How was it for you? What advice would you have for somebody that maybe they were already a teacher, but now you put a camera in front of them and that's scary? How did you overcome that?
Looking at myself, I feel like in the camera and just being like, okay, like I'm not going to do that next time. Or, you know, what can I take out that maybe I was like, a lot, but then continuing to watch myself back and then also just experience like I mean, for me, I was a little bit, it was a little bit easier for me because of who was behind the camera. But I mean, it's even easier if you don't have anybody behind the camera, or if you're not with anybody, because you can just do it again if you don't feel comfortable with that first shot. But I think that practice is the only thing that's going to help you continue to get better and get over that, like that cringiness.
That's so good. All right. So we have a new segment. It's called Repeat After Me. And I will say a statement. You repeat it after me, and then you finish the statement. Are you ready?
Sure.
If I was starting on YouTube from zero today, the first thing I'd do is?
If I was starting on YouTube from zero today, the first thing I would do is make sure that I have good audio.
It's great. Why is that?
Because I've watched a couple of videos that I'm just like, I can't get past that part. So I think that good audio is a very important thing to have. Not necessarily that you even have to have like the best mic or anything, but even just making sure that there's not like a ton of background noise and things like that.
Once you start to succeed on YouTube, the next skill that you need is?
Once you start to succeed on YouTube, the next skill you need is to be flexible and to be able to just like roll with the punches, because there are so many different things with YouTube and among other content platforms that change on the daily, that just learning, all like being a constant learner is super important.
What are the sources of learning for you right now that you like the most? YouTube channels, podcasts, or anything else? Where do you keep learning and leveling up?
Right now, I watch Think Media a lot. And then also I watch a couple of friends of mine who are also furniture flippers, or one of them is a furniture flipper and one of them is her manager. And it's called the Cypress Room podcast. They do some fun podcasts, but then they also have like, it's all about like influencing with integrity. And I think that is, it just is a really encouraging podcast that I like to listen to just continue to make sure that I'm like grounded for the content that I put out there.
The most important mindset you need for long-term success on YouTube is?
The most important mindset you need for long-term success on YouTube is to just keep going. I think the best is yet to come. You're never going to be where you are today. Tomorrow, you're always going to continue to grow, whether it's in views or money or just your skills behind the camera, in front of the camera, how you edit, whatever your content is. Just continue to remember that the best is yet to come.
I love it. Lauren, I appreciate you, and it's so inspiring what you've done on YouTube. It's a real story that we hope our community hears, that we're all at different paces. Your growth has been very rapid, but the opportunity is real, and y'all are doing incredible work, and I'm so grateful you came out to be on the show. If people want to check you out, follow you, give a roll call of all the different places and what you're up to.
Lucky for us, we're all the same across all platforms. Furniture Flipping Teacher, at Furniture Flipping Teacher, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all of it. So that's where you can find us.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having us, Sean.